Hi, Brandon Walker, more Cowbell, Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. Coming to you from the SEC Country studios here in Gray, Dunwoody, Georgia. Good day to come to you today. Excited, got a lot of stuff. I have a guest today. His name is Matt Wyatt, former quarterback for Mississippi State University's football program. I'm sure you guys are aware of that program. It's been very successful lately and should be successful into the future. So we'll have Matt Wyatt, and the topic will be quarterbacks. You guys know what the quarterback position is. It's very important to a football team. We'll talk about Keaton Thompson, Nick Fitzgerald. We'll talk about the quarterback position under Joe Moorhead. We'll talk about all that kind of quarterback-related stuff. He'll be coming up at the top of the hour. And talk a little basketball today, and then we'll do today's top 5. We're going to go about 15 minutes with Matt Wyatt today instead of just 10. And then we'll get right to today's top 5. Hello, Hattiesburg. Hello, Fort Smith, Arkansas. Kenny Manning. Kenny Manning, you are never in the same place twice. I don't know how you do it. Butch Bailey is here. Good morning from campus, says Jonathan Philly. Good morning, Jonathan. Hope campus is well this morning. Sure it is. Paula Pace is here. Hail State. Hail State from Starkville. Love listening to Matt every afternoon. Well, Stephen Turner, you need to say you love listening to me. I don't care if you love listening to Matt. I don't listen to Matt. Does Matt have a show? Good for him. Ringgold, Georgia, right up I-75. Littleton, Colorado, out there in, I believe, Colorado, if I've got my geography right. Hello, Brandon from Athens, Alabama, North Alabama. I think it's around Decatur, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's near there. I could be wrong. Hello from Meridian, Summerall, Mississippi, down in South Mississippi. Clark County. DeLand, Florida, down around Daytona Beach, I think. Another one from Ringgold, Georgia. Why are we so big in Ringgold, Georgia? Why is this show so big? Why have we got 2 people in Ringgold, Georgia? Do you guys know each other? Cartersville, Georgia. Well, Dawn right here. Hold on now. Really? Cartersville, Georgia? Are you really coming to me from Cartersville, Georgia?
Here's so.
It does. That's odd to me. Hernando, Mississippi. Natchez. Richmond, Virginia. Cartersville, home of the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country this year. Number 1 football player in the country this year. Louisville, Mississippi. Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Columbus, Mississippi. Hello, Fred Williams. Hello, Alvin Coleman. Hello, Charlie Thomas. Hello, Thomas Loftus from Birmingham. Danny Pinter says, not yet. Not yet what? Not yet what? What did I say that could be answered with not yet? Don't remember. Point City, hello. Byron, Mississippi. The Colony, Texas is where Corey Dickey's checking in. So if you have any questions for Matt Wyatt, ask me now, and I will ask Matt. I will pass your question along to Matt Wyatt. He'll be on the show at the top of the hour. We'll talk quarterbacks. We'll talk, Keaton Thompson. We'll talk about all that. Dawn Wright here says the home of Trevor Lawrence. You know who else is the home of? Brandon Walker. Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Columbus, Ohio. Check your mail. Well, I haven't seen anything yet, Glenn. We're checking the mail every day. I have a mail guy that brings me the mail. His name is Terp. He does all my bidding for me.
I bring you no mail.
He does all my little odd jobs that I'm too good to do.
False.
Also, my water's a little low here, Terp.
That's Caesar's job.
My water's a little low.
Caesar will get it for you.
All right. Denver here. Love your stream. Thanks, Parks Fancher. What was it like playing for Jackie? Dan Glenn with a question for Matt Wyatt. I'll see if I can get that one to him. Huntsville, Alabama. Tupelo. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Good to have everybody here. 120 people so far. We're building. All right, 11:50. So we're gonna go live. We're gonna start the podcast. Are you listening to me, or are you just laughing in there?
I'm always listening.
We're gonna start the podcast at 55 today. Gonna start the podcast at 55, and then as soon as my music's done, you get Matt Wyatt on the phone, and we'll go straight to him. Josh Yeager is here. Brandon, I checked the feed. What was the name? I don't know what you're asking me. What did I miss? What did I miss there? Rock that air guitar. I got you. Ackworth, Georgia. Boy, a lot of North Georgia. Cartersville, Ackworth, Ringgold, Ackworth is on my drive-in every day. Are you guys messing with me? Are you just making towns up right now? Or Ackworth is where Scott Steiner has a Shoney's restaurant. It's also the nearest Best Buy to my house. Anyway, what's up, fam? McGee, Mississippi, Point City. Josh Yeager is in Vegas. I'm assuming he means Stark and not Loss. So, any questions for Matt Wyatt? We'll get those to him. He'll be on at the top of the hour. We'll talk about quarterbacks. Talk about Joe Moorhead a little bit. Then we'll talk about basketball. We'll get into state basketball, trying to bounce back at Florida. Probably won't be able to do it. Florida's really good. State will be 1-2 with Auburn coming in next on Saturday. And I think State can beat Auburn and probably will beat Auburn. Everybody says, oh, we're not going to beat Auburn. Home games are a different animal. And I think we'll be a little bit better at home. Anyway, we'll also do today's top 5. My top 5 favorite road trips in the SEC. My top 5 favorite road trips in the Southeastern Conference. So I don't know what yours are. Dawn Wright Tier says my son Chandler works at that Best Buy. Well, I love that. Yeah, it's a good little area right there. Got a Panda Express. Got a Target. Ask Matt if he's doing any SEC Plus baseball broadcast. Okay, I'll do that. Turp, if are you not going to block her? I mean, Landshark is messing around over there. You're not going to block her? I would like Hannah Chalker blocked from this Facebook Live.
All right, you got it.
Florida only an 8-point favorite. Somebody must be hurt. Their best player, Chris Chiozza, is questionable. He is questionable with strep throat. You know how questionable goes. It seems like he probably will play, but will he be effective? He has strep throat right now. Chris Chiozza, their best player. So that might be the reason. But Florida -8. I am not a betting man, but if I were, I would give you a great amount of money on Florida -8, I think. Terp, you are a betting man, right? And you were writing that down? All right.
I'm writing that down. Even the last information you gave me was
false. It was a bust, yeah. It was yeah.
I trust you, though.
I've done well before for you.
The first half of the season,
we won LSU together, right?
Yes. First half of
we
the
won
season
Texas
was nice.
A&M together,
and then it kind of went downhill near the end.
Well, that's.
I mean, it got so bad I ended up betting on Ole Miss.
That's a metaphor for life. I don't care what you did. Strep is so contagious, shouldn't be allowed to play. Yeah, I would say he shouldn't be allowed to play in any game against Mississippi State. I think Chris Chiozza, if he has strep now, we should probably sit him for the rest of the season. Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, Texas A&M. That's Thomas Fowler's top 5 road trips. That's his top 5 road trips. The only thing about that is I've never been to A&M. I've never been to A&M. But I agree with you on several of those. I agree with you on a lot of that. Don't agree with the order. I would have it in a different order. What's up, Fred Harley? How do you feel about Scott Fountain joining the staff? Well, I feel if Joe Moorhead thinks he's going to be a good coach, then that's good. He's got a great pedigree, been at some good programs, so looks good to me. Do you like to eat brisket? What the hell kind of question is that?
I think that's a yes.
Thomas Fowler, you're my guy and everything, but what kind of question is that? What do I look like? I'm 6'5", 280 pounds. Do I look like somebody that doesn't like to eat brisket? I'll eat brisket off a shoe. Yes, I like brisket. The Bearded Pig, Jacksonville, Florida, some of the best brisket I've ever had. I did not expect it. Did not expect it. Was almost worth the 3 hours of, unpleasantness later. Anyway.
See the clock?
I do. Is it 55? All right. Fred Harley is desperate to tell you what's up.
What's up, Fred?
What's up, Fred? All right, that's good. For some reason, Fred Harley is the one guy out here that likes you. He's the one. He's the one fan out here. Nobody else cares for you.
Me and Fred with the P are
which is good because I don't care for Terp either. He's a terrible person. You ready to start?
Yeah.
Matt Wyatt coming up in about 3 minutes. Let's get this podcast started.
More Cowbell Show. Brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
Hello, that's me, Brandon Walker, More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. I'm laughing because every day when they play the intro music, I do the air guitar, and I'm very good at it. I got Turp on the other side of the glass. He's playing the air guitar. We're having a good time. We're jamming, right? And then Landshark busts out the damn cello or something. I don't know what she's playing. She's got her arm up there like she's taking a shower or something. That was ridiculous. Why is Landshark still on this show? This is awful. Boy, what is that? Some sort of cello, a bass? Good Lord. Okay, let's get focused. Matt Wyatt will be on the show today, former Mississippi State quarterback. We're going to talk about quarterbacks. Nick Fitzgerald, Keaton Thompson, Jalen Maiden. The future looks very bright. The present looks very bright. As far as the quarterback position goes at Mississippi State, I'd like to talk about somebody who's been there. I'd like to talk to somebody who's been there about these quarterbacks. Basketball, Mississippi State going to Florida tonight, looking to bounce back. I don't know about that one. And then we'll talk about a little women's basketball as Ole Miss will be visiting Mississippi State Thursday night, which brings about one of my favorite days of the year. And lastly, we'll have today's top five, my top five favorite road trips I have personally taken in the Southeastern Conference. But off the top of the show today, we're going to talk about quarterbacks. Keaton Thompson showed a lot in the Gator Bowl. Nick Fitzgerald showed a lot this season before getting hurt. Both of those guys are back. You added Jalen Maiden. The quarterback position at Mississippi State looks loaded. It looks ready. It's the most important position on the football field, and Mississippi State is stocked at quarterback. And I want to bring in a guy who's been part of a stocked quarterback position at Mississippi State before. He and Wayne Mackin both led Mississippi State to success back in his career. His name is Matt Wyatt, and he joins me right now. Matt, thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure, Brandon. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Matt. How are you doing?
Man, great. Doing great.
Were the fish biting this morning?
Say again?
Were the fish biting?
I'm sure they're biting somewhere. I didn't get to go find out, though. But, hey, just stick around. I'll probably go tomorrow, maybe the next day. Yeah, but I didn't go today. Sorry to disappoint you.
Well, the last time I had you on the show, I believe it was 34 degrees that morning, and you had just gotten off a lake, which I thought was ridiculous. But apparently, hey, you do you, man. You live your life. Listen, last I saw you, or I think I saw you in Jacksonville. Maybe I didn't. But in Jacksonville, Keaton Thompson answered the call for Mississippi State, had a remarkable performance, really led Mississippi State to a victory. We're going to talk about Keaton. We're going to talk about Nick. We'll talk about the quarterback position today. Keaton was outstanding in Jacksonville, really stepped up. What did you see out of that guy in that game?
It's just he played so much better than a true freshman ought to play. And, there's a reason that Mullen and the staff were always so high on Keaton. They just glow about him when you talk. And, the times he got in ball games this year, it was just kind of mop-up stuff where there was never really the necessity to throw the ball. You didn't really get a chance to see what he could do. And Brandon, in his experience in the Egg Bowl was, yes, not only was it a deal where you're going into the game, as a backup, you always know you're one play away from being the permanent QB, but still, here goes Fitzgerald into the game, and you don't necessarily have a big, robust game plan built up around Keaton Thompson going into that game. And so when Nick got hurt early, they were scrambling a little bit. And the fact is, too, that it was a coaching staff that didn't quite have that team ready to play that game, and everybody can speculate on the reasons for that if they want to, but they weren't quite ready to play. So they kind of scrambled a little bit during the game, and then you saw him get better and better and better, and by the end of the fourth quarter, he kind of had worked out some of the kinks and had it rolling. So with the better part of a month to get ready for that Louisville defense, that kid was confident. He was ready to play, and the first play of the game set the tone. When this is a guy's playing high school football a year ago, they run flat curl concept on that first play. And what that is, Brandon, the outside receivers are running like that 12-yard curl, and then somebody on the inside of both of those, the two slot guys or a back, is going to run an underneath route so that you give the quarterback the chance to high-low the defender. So, like, if the defender comes up shallow and covers that route, you're going to throw it to the curl behind him and, vice versa. When he looks to the short side of the field to his left, because the ball's on the left hash, it was a shorter throw, but they jumped the underneath and sat on the curl route and covered it. It's the first play of the game. They cover his number one read. What does he do? Flips his head, goes to the wide side of the field, hangs in the pocket, no nervousness, and waits for Jordan Thomas to come open on that curl, drills him in the teeth with it, and then Thomas makes the big run. And it set the tone for that entire game. I was so impressed with the way he played.
From an X's and O's standpoint, you just pointed out something he did well. But even further than that, in the second half, when everything seemed to go against Mississippi State, drops, fumbles, questionable calls, and here he gets the ball back in the fourth quarter, down a couple times, and both times leads scoring drives and wins the game, and shows more than just an understanding of X's and O's, shows the ability to, when everything is going wrong, drags the iron out of the fire, drags his team down the field, and wins the game. And for him to do that in his first start, boy, oh boy, how much more excited can I get over Keaton Thompson? That is what I saw, and that is what I'm excited about, Matt.
No doubt. I totally agree with you. There's something to be said for a QB who is able to jack it up a notch in that fourth quarter when you have to have it. And the truth is, he needed about 2 more minutes to get it done in the Egg Bowl.
Right.
Just kind of, they were a little late getting it done. And then he goes and they score 14 points in the fourth quarter to win the bowl game. That is an impressive deal. And I'll tell you what else, too, impressed me, and I'm sure you noticed the same thing. I don't think people understand just how impressive it is for a guy, again, who is a true freshman, who's playing high school ball a year ago, and he steps out there in his first career start, and he's running over people at the goal line.
Right.
Right? He's taking the contact to the safety at the goal line and running through 2 guys in that first half to score, and leads the team in rushing and is taking that beating and just keeps on getting up and playing. I'm really impressed with his makeup, his attitude. I think State has a chance to have one of, if not the best quarterback rooms in the SEC next year.
And that's where we're ultimately getting to. That's where we're ultimately going to talk about in just a second. But first, let's talk about Nick Fitzgerald for a second. From the moment his ankle got hurt, from the moment he got hurt in the Ole Miss game, I have seen on social media, at the games, on the sidelines, a level of leadership that I'm not necessarily sure I ever saw from him before that. Have you seen kind of a maturity, a leadership emerge from this guy since the injury that wasn't there before, or am I just imagining things?
Well, if maybe it was there before, Brandon, and we just didn't see it because he was preoccupied with playing,
right.
And it was during the season and that kind of thing. And the truth is, once you get hurt like that, you got a lot more time to tweet. And to think about that kind of stuff. Right. My perception of Nick is, early in his career here, he was not maybe the most, what's the right word, the most dynamic leader. He was just kind of a guy, one of the guys,
right.
And at some point, he understood it. I think and I don't know if you credit Mullen totally with it or Brett Elliott, but at some point, I think all of a sudden the light bulb went on and said, the only way a quarterback is successful is if the team's good. And the team's going to be a whole lot better if they like me and I like them. And we got to hang out. And he really kind of, I think, went to work and getting to know his teammates and spending time. And that really kind of built that leadership ability. So what I see in those messages and encouragement and tweets and, leadership is I see a guy who likes where he is. I think he's really happy in Starkville. I think Nick loves the team that he's on. He loves the atmosphere. I think he has taken ownership of his role as a QB. That's what I see as a guy who is totally in his element right now as the leader of the football team. And he's a team guy, too. I think it's genuine when he's rooting like heck for Keaton Thompson. And I'll tell you, if you get in a situation next year where both those guys are playing some, I think they're fine with it.
All right, there you go. So what you just said is something I want to talk about. So we go into 2018 with, I think, two of the better quarterbacks in the Southeastern Conference. You know you have that with Nick Fitzgerald. I think you have that with Keaton Thompson. You go in with two very good options at quarterback. In an ordinary year, Keaton Thompson would be a slam dunk option to be the starter. And I think it would be silly to say there's going to be a quarterback controversy at Mississippi State because I don't think that's the right word for it. But I think it's fair to say there will be a very healthy quarterback competition with these guys pushing each other. Is that how you would characterize Mississippi State's position going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I would definitely characterize that. With a new staff, and they're going to be learning a lot of this stuff together. Nick's going to have a little bit of an upper hand because he's learned a lot more. He's been through the whole, hey, let's install some new stuff and figure out a way to make it get in the end zone. He's been through that a little more at this level, obviously. He's more experienced. So Nick's going to have that upper hand, and I can just tell you that the difference between being a freshman and sophomore quarterback on the field versus now you're the senior and you step out on that field, man, and you're the oldest one out there. You look around and you go, holy cow, I'm older than all these guys. There's just this level of confidence and comfort that you get as a senior that you can't underestimate that. So Nick's going to have an advantage in all this. He's going to see some things and take to it probably a little quicker. But what you have is, number one, a good relationship between the two guys that are competing and pushing each other. There's not going to be any division. There's not going to be a situation where they want to win the job so bad that they hate the other guy and it splits the team. That ain't going to happen. So that's a real positive for the new coaching staff. And so then what you can do is approach it very pragmatically. You don't have to worry about egos and baby somebody around so they don't get their feelings hurt, pout if they're giving up some snaps. You can look at it very practically and go, okay, boys, here's where we are, here's what you do, here's what you can do, and so going into this game, we're going to use all this way to try and win this ball game. And I think they'll take to it like ducks to water, and I think you're going to have a really good situation at quarterback.
Got a couple more questions I want to get to, but you just brought up something I want to just do a little aside real quick. You mentioned the difference in being an underclassman and then being the senior that walks out. You famously in 1999 led some comebacks, the one at Auburn. You led a couple other comebacks. You did it in your senior season. You think you would have been able to do that earlier in your career?
No, not to the level that I did. And, a lot of that was kind of the makeup of our team. If you remember, we'd always been a running team, run first. 2 years earlier, we had J.J. Johnson, right, and the year before. And then in 99, that was my senior year, we look up, and we weren't as powerful on the offensive line. We had DeCenzo Miller and Dante Walker, but those guys were freshmen, and our leading running backs were freshmen, and our offensive line wasn't is great at run blocking. They were a great pass blocking unit. And we had a bunch of receivers, so it kind of fit our personnel. But aside from all that, what you're pointing to, not long after I graduated, Kevin Fant became the full-time starter. And I remember talking to him, and I said, hey, man, I'm just telling you, you're going to experience something that it's going to feel so much different to you when you go out there as a senior. I don't know how to explain it. There's something about looking around and going, man, I'm the oldest guy out here. There's nothing that can faze me. I've seen it all. I know what I'm doing. Let's just go do it. And it's so much easier to play like that. I think that's why coaches value that seniority so much. Brandon, I would illustrate it like this. When you're 16 years old, you're this tall, strong. You're stronger than your dad in the weight room. You're more flexible than he is. He's old and beat up stiff. You're taller. You probably weigh more than your dad. You could outrun your dad. But if you were to tie up in a fight with your 50-year-old dad, he'd kick your butt. It's a fact. He just would. And it's experience, and that's why. So that experience is so valuable because it can make up for some of your deficiencies.
No, I get what you're saying. When I walk into Chuck E. Cheese these days, I just look around at all the games and all these little 4- and 5-year-olds playing it, and I'm like, I'm 38. I can whip every kid in here at these games, and then I do. and I just know that I have experience that they don't, and I'm also kind of a jerk, so it kind of helps.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick, let's look at Joe Moorhead. Let's look. I know you've probably gone under the hood of his Penn State offense. Now, we've had Dan Mullen for 9 years, and he left the quarterback position in a very good spot with some very talented quarterbacks. What's the difference going to be? And I don't know. This is a very vague question. I understand that. But how will the quarterback position look different under Joe Moorhead's offense? Like what will he ask his quarterbacks to do that maybe we haven't been, and vice versa?
It's not going to look a whole lot different to you and to me when we watch the games on Saturday, I don't think. We're still going to see Nick Fitzgerald in that shotgun primarily. We're going to see him, the play fake stuff, the play action offense. We're going to see the screens. We're going to see the get a guy open vertically. You're still going to see the quarterback sweep, that you saw this year, that he beat LSU and others, where they just snap it to Nick and he follows the lead blocker around the edge. They were running that stuff with that kid at Penn State this past year, and he's half the athlete that Nick Fitzgerald is. They were very successful. So to the naked eye, it's not going to look a ton different. They're always going to be in at least a 3-receiver set. A lot of 4 wides, a lot of empty depending on personnel. So it's going to look a lot the same. The difference will be what's going on behind the scenes. As I look at it, right now you're in this fad of RPO, and people are going crazy because they hear these announcers constantly saying RPO, RPO. It's a new buzzword for announcers because they think every play is a run-pass option. But the true run-pass option stuff it's based on the quarterback is making the decisions. You got a pre-snap decision. Then on the snap of the ball can go to one of 3 places based on what the defense does. So if the defensive end stays out, then the run goes inside. If the defensive end slams down, the quarterback pulls. Now he's out on the edge. Now he's got the option to run or throw it based on what the safety does. So there's reads at each level. Well, those things that's stuff that Dan Mullen did with Nick Fitzgerald about once every 5 or 6 or 7 plays. There would be that second-level read into the offense instead of just a 1-level read. Well, when I watch Penn State, it's every play or every other play where there's a second, third-level read built into what they're doing. So you'll see more of that. You'll just see it more often. There will be more responsibility on the quarterback to make those decisions because they're going to, instead of doing it every 5 plays, they're going to be doing it every other play. And then the last thing that I think you'll see different is the way they use tight ends. Tight ends were at Penn State anyway, much more involved in the screen game, in the RPO pass game, and in that play action underneath stuff game. And they would get them in motion and use them as decoys to draw linebackers out and stuff. So that's a lot of words to say that a lot of the spread concepts are going to be just like they've been doing it already at State, familiar to these players. They're just going to have more reads built into it for a quarterback.
Let me ask you one more question before I let you get out of here. This is first of all, thank you for being here because I love it when you talk X's and O's. I mean, breaking down this quarterback stuff at this level, I really, really enjoy it, and thank you for coming and doing it. But you did, you are the color announcer, color analyst for Mississippi State football on the radio. I had Neil Price on the show last week. He just finished his first season at Mississippi State. And I got to say, I thought he was fantastic. I thought the broadcast presentation are as good as they've ever been. I thought Neil was very good. What was it like first year with Neil Price?
Oh, man, it was just awesome. It really was. And, Neil and I both, I think at times we have wanted to, maybe be careful and kind of understate everything because we don't want anybody to think that, it wasn't good before when Jim was doing it. It was great. And I had a great experience calling the games with Jim. And that's just the truth. But, Neil, his energy, first of all, his talent and ability to describe the play, but do it in a way that is just kind of naturally endearing if you're listening as a fan. You like the way he describes things. You love his energy. And when you're listening to Neil call a game, you are getting the game. It is accurate. When you hear him say, "Whoa, he's hit at the 25 and dropped," well, guess what? He really got hit and dropped at 25. So he understates and overstates at the right time. I love his energy, and I'm going to tell you, Brandon, he's a wonderful guy. We became friends very quickly, but I'm just so impressed with how he has gone the extra mile to learn Mississippi State, to be a part of the community, to take a walk every day through campus and meet people and see the sights, and to meet fans. Every opportunity they give him to go to a local alumni chapter to speak, he hits the road and goes and meets those people. I'm so impressed with who he is and the way he's approaching it, and totally buying into being a Mississippi State Bulldog. And I'm glad you're having him on. I hope you do it more. I love to hear him. And, man, I'm enjoying listening to he and Coach Williams do basketball. That's a crew right there, a basketball crew. I got a question for you, Brandon. Is Mississippi State the only school in America that has a Final Four coach on the bench and a Final Four coach on the radio crew?
I saw you ask that question on Twitter, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and I thought about it, and I can't really place one that has it. So I definitely think as far as all around the program, you've got a lot of great coaching at Mississippi State basketball. I think you're absolutely right. Richard Williams, you're good on football. You're fantastic, Matt, but Richard Williams is so good at basketball. He is just awesome. And I had him on the show one day, and he was good here too.
Well, you know what I do? I tell you, I've always kind of done this to a degree, but I make a point to listen to like the post-game show with Richard Williams right after the game to hear what he says about a game. And if I miss it, I go back online and listen to it again, because then I get on the radio on our show and I sound like I know something about basketball, right? Like I just kind of repeat what he says.
Well, you know what I love about Richard Williams? He's not an announcer, and he's not really a trained announcer. He's just going to tell you what he feels. And he's going to tell you what he sees in pure basketball terms, a lot like you do in football, but he is even more blunt and more, there's no real sugarcoating with him at all.
Sure.
I guess he hasn't, been in radio or anything to get that off of him. But I just, I think as far as, and I'll go ahead and throw you back in, I think as far as football, basketball, and Jim Ellis on baseball, you cannot find a better group of people and announcers doing a more professional job than Mississippi State has right now. And that goes back 50 years, 60 years back when Jack Gristle started. Yeah. The excellence that he set forth is still being followed today, and you're included in that group, Matt.
Well, and, that's just a heck of an honor to be included. It really is. And I'll tell you this, sometimes folks will ask me, like, what's my approach, or, like, how do I want to, be seen as an analyst for us on the radio. And I will tell you this, whether it's, people can call it what they want, sugarcoating or not. Brandon, my approach is I'm trying my best to look at it through the eyes of a player.
Right.
Because that's the one unique perspective that I have. I didn't coach, and I wasn't a Super Bowl winner, but I went through that 5-year process of putting on that maroon and white uniform. And so I know what those kids are going through, and I know how hard they're trying. So if I have one big fault, probably as an analyst, every now and then, maybe I'm not critical of a player for a play or not, but I think a lot of that is because I know that 99% of them, nobody in the world wants to do it and to win and to succeed worse than they do. And so that's kind of the way I approach it.
Well, this was fun, Matt. I really appreciate you being here, as always do. His name is Matt Wyatt, and you can hear him every day on Head to Head Radio on Super Talk, I believe, from 4 to 6 p.m. Is that right?
3 to 6.
3 to 6.
Hours
I'm sorry. 3 to 6 every day on Super Talk Mississippi, all around the state, and you, of course, can hear him doing his thing on Mississippi State football broadcast. Matt, as always, a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for doing it, man.
See you, man. Thanks, Brandon. Talk to you soon.
All right, that's Matt Wyatt. And that interview went a lot longer than I anticipated, but it was very, very good. So I let it go. I let it happen, let it unfold. Because, listen, I love talking about Mississippi State football, and I don't think anybody loves talking about Mississippi State football and the actual X's and O's more than Matt Wyatt. He is tremendous at doing this. And he listens to the show. Even when he's not on it, he listens to the show, which, knocks him up a peg in my book. So very, very quickly, we are going to talk about basketball, and I'll get to my today's top 5, and then we'll get out of here on the podcast, and I'll come to you on Facebook Live. But on the podcast, basketball tonight, Mississippi State at Florida. Can Mississippi State bounce back? No, probably not. Probably not. State lost a game that they couldn't afford to lose against Ole Miss, and they need to get back into winning ways. They need to get back on the positive side of things, but I don't think it's going to happen in Florida. Florida's probably going to win the SEC. They are them and Texas A&M, and I know A&M's 0-4, but they've got 3 injuries right now, 3 key injuries. Florida and Texas A&M are the class of the league. Kentucky's a little bit behind both of those, and then you got Alabama, Tennessee, other teams like that. And then State's coming in behind that group. But State can't go on the road and beat Florida. That's why the Ole Miss game was so important. Road games in this conference, and this is a very tough conference now. It's a good conference again. And it's very tightly bunched together. The worst teams in the league aren't that bad. The best teams in the league aren't that great. So it's tightly bunched together. That means road games are at a premium. Every game in this conference is a war. And every game you can steal on the road is big time. And that's why trips to Oxford, trips to Nashville, you got to win them. Because those are the worst teams in the league right now. And when you let one go, it really hurts. It really hurts. And going to Gainesville, not going to be fun. But coming home to Auburn, I think State will beat Auburn. I know Auburn is off to a great start. I think they're 15-1. But road games, again, are a monster. Auburn's not that much better than Mississippi State. State's going to beat Auburn at home. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. Women's basketball, though, tomorrow night hosts Ole Miss. And that is one of my 2 or 3 favorite days of the year because that's Matt Insell Day at the Humphrey Coliseum. Matt Insell, the coach at Ole Miss, the human cartoon, as I like to call him. He just looks ridiculous. Looks like Deputy Dog out there coaching a basketball game with his facial expressions. And, the post game, this game will yield a lot of great pictures. He'll get beat by 30, and he'll have a lot of pictures of him doing this or this or this. It's just, he just looks weird, and it'll be fun. So I enjoy, and he'll probably say something really, really stupid, which will pick apart on the show. So that'll be fun. We have that to look forward to. Today's top 5, my top 5 road trips in the Southeastern Conference. My top 5 road trips in the Southeastern Conference. Are you ready, Terp?
Yeah.
Your top 5 won't be my top 5. If you've gone to a lot of games, your top 5 will not be my top 5. So that is what it is. I've never been to Texas A&M. I've never been to South Carolina. Those are the 2 I've never been to.
Top 5, football games you want to go to, or just trips to see?
Road trips around a football game. Road trips around a football game. Very good question. So, won't be mine, won't be yours. I took out Alabama. I had them in originally, but I just hate going over there. You know why? Because the ride from Starkville to Tuscaloosa is depressing and stupid. And there should not exist 2-lane highways in the world anymore, and there it is. Between Columbus and Tuscaloosa, Reform and Gordo, Alabama, there's a 2-lane road that just bogs down every time. So I don't like making that trip. I don't like making it at all. The game itself, always, fun, especially when we're good. Well, here are my top 5 trips. Number 5 is Lexington, Kentucky. And I don't think a whole lot of people love Lexington, Kentucky. But I like it. I think it's a nice town. I like the town. And if you go in the right time of year, you can go to a horse race or something. It's a really good town. I like that one. That's probably the one trip in the SEC I've taken where I was not excited, and I get there and I'm like, hey, this ain't bad. I like this one. Number 4, Auburn. Not bad. Nice little college town. I enjoy it. Enjoy going to Auburn. It's a good atmosphere. The stadium atmosphere is really good. Don't like the people, but it is what it is. I had to eliminate several fan bases because of the people. Hello, Oxford. Hello, Fayetteville. Hello, Tuscaloosa. How you guys doing today? Number 3, Tennessee is not a bad trip. Knoxville's a nice town. The stadium's right in downtown. Too many people in that stadium. It's a stadium it's an 80,000 seat stadium that seats 100,000 people. But it's a nice scene. You can eat really close to the stadium. You can stay really close to the stadium. Good setup in Knoxville. I think they have one of the best setups. And number 2 and number 1 are far and away better than the other ones. I've just kind of, been nice so far, but these 2 I think far and away are the best. And I had trouble picking between 1 or 2 because until this year, one of these was ahead of the other. And this year one of them passed the other. So, number 2, LSU. Now, Baton Rouge, not that great of a town. It does have some things, some great sports bars. It does have some good places to hang out. Tailgating around the stadium is excellent. The atmosphere is excellent. They know how to throw a football game in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They just do. I've always heard stories of how people get treated poorly or whatever. I've never experienced that. I've never even seen it down there. And I've been there a couple times. So I like LSU. And until this year, the 2014 trip to Baton Rouge is my favorite of all time. But number 1, you think you know what it is, Terp? It's pretty easy, right?
I definitely know what it is.
It is Athens, Georgia. I got to tell you, even if there wasn't a football game, I would have had a hell of a time. Athens is some kind of a town. Athens is the town Oxford pretends to be. Athens is a fantastic town just by itself. And then you throw in the football. The stadium's not far from downtown. Everybody's walking around downtown and eating and having a good time before the game. Then they all go down there and we watch State get killed, so we run out. But it is what it is. Athens, the number 1 road trip in the SEC. LSU, a very close second. And frankly, if I went to LSU next year and it passed, I could see those alternating because LSU knows how to throw a football game. Athens is just the best college town in the SEC, period. And it ain't close. It's not. I can't even think of a second to Athens as far as a college town. So that is my today's top 5. Had a good show. Matt Wyatt did great. Basketball, And then today's top 5, that was good. So we'll be back tomorrow talking Mississippi State sports in some capacity. Until next time on the podcast, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching More Cowbell. I'm sorry. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. That was a little longer than I'm used to, but I think it'll be okay. That's what she said. Okay, no. What? Nothing. Okay. Are you giving me the wrap-up already? I swear.
We'll give you extra time. You went late.
The interview went forever.
Yeah, you're good. I'll give you till 40.
I avoided downtown when we lived right outside of Athens. Traffic is nuts there, says Jessica M. Ballsy. I think Jessica checking in from West Virginia today. So she definitely got out of the traffic. I bet West Virginia is lovely, though, this time of year. You need to check out a game at College Station and go eat at the Dixie Chicken. See, Jennifer Tipton knows me, okay? She knows what to say to sell me on a place. And if you tell me to eat somewhere like the Dixie Chicken, bam, I'm done. I'm ready. Let's go. Terp, book that flight. We're going to eat the Dixie Chicken. I don't even care I don't care about their reputation. Just their name, Dixie Chicken, tells me it's a good restaurant.
A&M was my number 1 place I want to
Have you been to A&M?
Nope.
Have you been to any of
Mine
these?
were all more places I haven't been to.
So you want to go to A&M the most?
Yes.
Out of the ones I haven't been to, I would definitely like to go to A&M because it's only 2. Oh, actually, I haven't been to Missouri either. So A&M, Missouri, and Carolina is the only 3 I've never been to.
Missouri.
They'd have to show me they're very good at Missouri. Hi. Anyway, very cold. We just moved here in West Virginia. Well, Jessica M., thank you for listening. Your thoughts on John Bond? John Bond is great. Love John Bond. A little before my time. His career was when I was about 2 or 3 years old, but I've met him, and he is he's an interesting cat. That's a character right there. John Bond's great. College Station is a cool spot. Lots of good food. What do you think of John Clarice Patterson? Well, I know he decommitted, then he recommitted. He's a wide receiver from Pearl. They won a state championship, so good team. I think he's a good player. I've heard good things. I don't know that he's going to be part of this class as far as being a freshman. I've heard, the same things you guys have heard, that he might be going JUCO. If he does not, it's good to have another receiver. So I think as a player, I think he's very good. Burnell McGee, thanks for getting that. I appreciate that. Do you think we actually have too many weapons at wide receiver now, and some are going to be unhappy not being the top dog? And no, Adam, I don't. But I think first of all, you can never really have. You need at least 3 solid weapons at wide receiver. I mean, look at Ole Miss; they keep all their guys relatively happy. Relatively, you need at least 3 or 4 guys you can trust at all times. You do. I mean, we're going to be running 3 wide. Then you need 3 good wide receivers. So no, and Guidry's a junior, and the other freshmen are freshmen, obviously. So I think they'll be spaced out enough to where they'll all be happy. What about Rocky Felker? Well, I love Rocky Felker too. I love everybody who's a Bulldog. Big fan. Somebody says their ribs are overrated. Sinbad says their ribs are whose ribs are overrated? Who's got overrated ribs? Do you see us getting any big commits for the rest of the class? Michael Clyburn asked that question. No. Define big commits. I mean, we're going to get another 4 or 5-star fall in our lap? Probably not. I think we'll get smart commitments. I think we'll get guys who know they can come in and there's opportunity available. We need to get another offensive lineman out of this class. We need to get another defensive back. So I think we'll fill our needs as opposed to star hunting and stargazing. But any commit right now that can play eventually is a big commit. Do you like Bully too? I don't know. I don't understand these questions. Parks Fancher. I do like Bully. I enjoy Bully. I like cowbells. I like Mississippi State helmets. I am a Mississippi State fan. I enjoy Mississippi State things. That is who I am. That is my life. Do you think Malik Deer gets time as a running back? Would be a hoss to deal with, says Adam McBrayer. No, I do not. Not that he couldn't be. I think Malik Deer would be an outstanding running back, but you have outstanding running backs. There is no need for outstanding running backs. Aris Williams is very good. Kylan Hill is possibly going to be better by the time he leaves. Nick Gibson, who could be good, isn't going to get all that much opportunity because of those top two guys. So there's no room in the running back rotation, really. Malik Deer gives you somebody who can score at any time in the slot, and I think that's very valuable. I think he could be very valuable where he is. All right. What's happening right now? Do I like corn dogs? All right. Here's the thing. If you're asking me if I like a food, just go ahead and don't type out the question because the answer is probably yes. The only foods I hate are watermelon, peanut butter, and mostly just watermelon.
Why do you hate watermelon?
I hate watermelon.
I put salt on my watermelon.
People are not allowed to have watermelon. My kids can't have watermelon in my house. I hate watermelon. The smell is nauseating. It is awful. Look at it. Why would you want to eat that?
Looks good.
It looks like a gigantic vegetable bowl of blood. That's what it looks like. It's disgusting. Or fruit bowl, excuse me, not a vegetable. Do we still have Noah Ellis in this upcoming class? Cheese Smith asked that question. He redshirted last year. I'm not sure if Noah Ellis is going to be qualified or not. I hope so. I don't have the answer to that question. I know he's a big-time defensive tackle, I think, out of Colorado. I don't know the answer to the Noah Ellis question. Peanut butter, that's as bad as cookies. I like eating Reese's peanut butter cups. I like that. But I just can't fathom eating the actual peanut butter out of the jar. I don't like it. It looks disgusting.
I hate peanut butter too.
You hate everything, though.
That's not true.
You hate cookies.
Yes, that's sweet.
You hate sweets.
Yeah. Not everything.
Your head is a watermelon, says Jess Hardy. Well, that may be true. All right. I may have a big watermelon head. That's fine. That doesn't mean I have to eat watermelon. This is possibly the one thing that people hate about me the most. And people hate a lot of things about me. When I meet them, they do not like me at all. But when I say I don't like watermelon, like my mom's embarrassed. She doesn't. When she introduces me and my sister, she says, "This is my daughter Caitlin, and here's Caitlin's brother." That's how she introduces us. Just because I hate watermelon. Walker feels strongly about his food preferences. I do, Jared Brown. That is accurate. What about the DB we got? White kid, can't think of his name. Think he was healing up from surgery. Oh, he was a safety. He's from Tennessee.
John Lynch?
No. What? His name's Guidry too. I think his name's Guidry. I can't remember his first name. Guidry. Something Guidry. Can you even say baseball? I can, Glenn Duncan. Baseball. Mississippi State baseball, a lot to be excited about this year. New stadium, great pitching staff. I know a lot more about baseball than you think. I'm a big pro baseball fan. I just never really got into the college game. Because I didn't, You know what it is, I think? You know what it is? And I'm going to tell on myself. I didn't really come up with a whole lot of money. So when I went to Dudy Noble Field, I couldn't sit in the grandstand because I didn't have those tickets, and I couldn't sit in the left field lounge because I didn't know anybody. So I was stuck in the bleachers, and that sucked. That sucked. So if you didn't in the old stadium, if you didn't have somebody you knew in the left field lounge or didn't own one yourself, you weren't really welcome out there. And then the grandstand, yeah, you can go in the 4th or 5th inning, but you know people are staring at you. You know they're staring at you. Landon Guidry, thank you. Landon Guidry, I appreciate that. And Coach Cannizzaro, if you don't like him, you don't have a pulse. If you don't like him, something's wrong with you, not him. He'll stay from Ocean City, Maryland. Ocean City, Maryland checking in. Huh? How about that, Terp?
Shout out Maryland.
Shout out to Maryland. That you've never you're not from there. You just went to school there, which is really weird. I will take you to a baseball game. Glenn Duncan, your own.
Back home?
God no.
Why not?
Because you're
on the Bulldogs.
Because you know how you
Hail
are.
State.
You know how you are. Thank you, Butch Bailey. I that's the truth. People don't want to hear it. People don't like it when I say it, but that's the truth. It is. So I don't hate baseball. I've always felt closed off from Mississippi State baseball. That's the accurate thing that. And when I was a beat writer, I was there for the worst season they ever had. So I guess it just never really worked for me. Hail State from Wolf Lake Road. Fred Duck Hunter. I'm guessing I know what Fred does in his spare time.
What do you think he does?
I think he hunts ducks.
Yeah, I have to agree.
You know about duck hunting, Terp?
Nope.
So here's what duck hunters do.
I played the video game, Nintendo one.
Here's what duck hunters do. They wait till the coldest part of the year. Say it's 15 degrees outside. And then they go sit on a body of water. They still sit in, and as close to the water as they can get. If they can sit in the water, they prefer that. They'll sit in the water and wait for ducks to fly over or try to get them to entice them. But it's got to be really cold and really gray and really wet. That's how duck hunters like it. They are a weird group, man.
That's fun.
But they love it. They love it.
Nice.
People who duck hunt love duck hunting more than anything in the world. And I don't get it. But more power to you. You love duck hunting. Go get them. Steve C. says Terp can sit with him.
All right. Down.
Probably good seats because he paid for this thing. This thing was, trust me, woo, that thing right there. So you'd probably be sitting pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and 2 more minutes. Can I have 2 minutes, Landshark? Can I have 2 more minutes? Thanks. We'll go to 12:45. It's pasta day. You going to pasta day? I am.
Probably not.
I am. Deer hunting is the best. Height limits at Dudy Noble 6'3" or lower, like a theme park ride, says Buster Bone. Yeah, I'm 6'5". That doesn't work for me, but I'm closer to 6'6". Closer to 6'6".
Those shoes you are.
These are my Doc Martens, man. Don't hate on my shoes. I bought these shoes in 2004. You know why I'm wearing them?
Why?
Because my wife says you should wear these.
There you go.
That's how I'm living my life. Battle bell. It is a battle bell. That is a battle bell. And it is, that is some kind of bell right there. This is a heck of a bell too. It's a great bell. But this thing's mean, man. Listen to that. I rang that the other day and 3 cows came up by the 4th floor window. They came up, they thought there was a girl cow in here. And I had to tell them, listen, guys, y'all got to go. And they went on about their business. It stayed a top 5 defense next year. Very possible. They were top 10 defense this year, and they'll be better. They will be better.
I have a real question.
She has your man card in her purse. Well, I maybe. Go ahead.
Is that what cowbells are like their meaning? I don't know. What do you use them for in real life? To bring cows to you?
What the hell do you think a cow bell?
It's a bell, but what is it? I don't know. I don't live on a farm.
Well, we don't have time right now. Okay, we don't have time.
All right.
But I'll tell you about the concept of a cowbell, of a bell cow, of how bells are used to talk to cows. Okay. And we'll discuss that in a little bit.
All right.
And tomorrow when we do this show, he will be educated on everything to do with cows and bells.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Good stuff. Good talk today. Good times. I think it's time to go ahead and wrap this up. we're past time. We went 10 minutes over today, but we had a good time. Matt Wyatt kind of ruined it for everybody. All right, until next time, thanks for being here. Lynn Rhodes Gilmer says the lead cow wore the bell, which means in this room I would be wearing the bell. I'd be wearing the bell right here. That was probably very loud when I moved it near the microphone, but that's okay. All right. That's it. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. I'm Brandon Walker. You've been watching more Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country.